Mind by me, Marvin Fant. Go to Amazon.com, click on the book section, put in my name, Marvin Fant, and my various books will come up, including Renew Your Mind. That's it.
The average Brit had never thought much about or less discussed the hot-button issue of race. Despite the nation's colonial reach, which encompassed parts of Africa and South Asia and extended to the Caribbean, Britons knew little about the lives of people of color. The ordinary Briton did not know much about the pioneering role of British merchants had played in the trading of slaves that built American plantations. Though he likely knew that slavery, illegal in Britain, had been outlawed in the empire's far-flung territories in 1834. Guides printed by the British government to enlighten people about American ways sidestepped the race question, except for one pamphlet called Meet the U.S. Army, which offered this advice. Any American Negro who comes to Britain must be treated by us on the basis of absolute equality, and remember never to call a Negro a nigger. The American evolution of racial nomenclature, whether to use Negro or colored, the preferred terms of the day, with black considered by many to be disparaging, hadn't taken place in Britain, and many were unaware that such a term might cause offense. In 1942, writes Longmate, darky was a term of affection, and the word nigger was used without intention to offend. Discrimination on racial grounds was not so much rejected as never even considered. The same for trinkets with stereotypical images of people of color, which were not uncommon in British homes. In Wales, 12-year-old Ken Rogers was fiercely proud of a coin bank he had gotten as a gift. When he was 5 years old, it featured the torso of a black man in a red uniform with a jet black face. And on the back was a lever that, when pressed, raised a hand that shot a coin into an open mouth rimmed by huge red lips. The bank had a name too. It was called Jolly Nigger. And one day, Ken invited a black GI he had befriended to his family's home in Pontypool. The soldier walked across the room to the mantel where the bank was displayed and picked it up. He looked at Ken and smiled. "One day, son," he said, "that name will cause a lot of trouble." "What did he mean by that?" Ken asked his father. After the soldier had left, he said, "I don't know." There was no official government policy regarding the color problem, leaving military, law enforcement, and civilian leaders to manage on their own. A British Army officer attempted to fill the vacuum by issuing his own guidelines, which supported his preference for U.S.-style Jim Crow, and Major General Arthur A.B. Dollard demeaned the Negro character in a way reminiscent of some of the U.S. Army's own reports. In what came to be known as Dollar's Notes, the officer noted the black man's simple mental outlook lacking the white man's ability to think and act to a plan. Still, he warned black men will take advantage of a white man's weakness. Too much freedom, too wide associations with white men tend to make them lose their heads and have on American regards a Negro as a child and not the equal of the white race. Please conform to that. Churchill's only known comment on the subject came after he was told that a black staffer in the colonial office was not allowed in a restaurant after protests by white Americans. "That's all right," replied the Prime Minister. "If he takes his banjo with him, they'll think he's one of the band." In the end, the cabinet concluded that it was desirable that the people of this country should avoid becoming too friendly with colored American troops. Though instructions on how to avoid such friendliness were not spelled out, and the stage was set for individuals to interpret the directive as they saw fit. Numerous officials, particularly in the colonial office, supported equal treatment of African Americans. Yet in the end, it was the loudest voice that prevailed and effectively opened the door to British compliance and sometimes participation in Jim Crow. Enough said.